Hello humans, Master Dinnerflex here, bringing you the low quality content you deserve, and today I'll be going over a quick combo of a new card announced for Labrynth, Big Welcome Labrynth. Now if you couldn't tell by the name, this is actually quite large. This is a big deal for this deck for a few reasons. First off, it's actually good legacy support. It supports the entire playstyle, which is what you want. And also, another cool thing is that it doesn't. But I'll get into that soon enough. But basically, this card is a unique solution to a really weird design problem Konami made themselves for no reason. Basically, this trap deck had a lot of ways to send cards to the graveyard, such as the furniture and pink. They had a lot of ways to like dump these traps in the grave. And under normal circumstance, you would think, oh yeah, some of the traps have graveyard effects. That makes sense. Except no, only one of them did, and it was a very not great graveyard effect. All the others make no sense to do that with. So then you got to ask yourself, okay, how does this make any sense? It doesn't. This card is a solution to not only that problem where you're randomly discarding traps that you could just set instead. It's a weird problem. It's a weird nonsense problem the deck made for itself for no reason. And it's like an actual really good attempt to get rid of that. But also, Labrynth has this huge problem where basically it plays 20 search cards for exactly 2 cards, both of which you only want to see them once. The Welcome Labrynth constantly resets itself, so there's no value in ever seeing it again. And the field spell is not one that searches. The only value is it staying up. So basically, you have all this furniture, all these like normal summon searches for the exact same 2 cards over and over again, and that creates an incredibly like redundant playstyle that oftenly bites them back. But giving them a third card that changes around this dynamic is a very interesting solution, because unlike all the others, there's actually a lot of value on keeping these in circulation, whereas the other two, it's just a one and done. Also, this gives you a reason not to play Backjack. I know a lot of people play that card. I find it actually terrible in the deck, since its original theory was based around OCG Max C turning furniture into hand traps, but when you translate that to the TCG, it's as bad as you think it is, and it's not changed at all. The best, like, the thing people praise Backjack for is like a 10% chance opening, and it's just not good. But regardless of that, it is a clever solution to that problem, because now there's more than just the exact same very few cards over and over again. We got this one to work with. And let me show you how this works. So let's go ahead and start off with pink. We can toss this from our hand, but we can also like toss it while it's set. So it means if we use furniture to set this, pink doesn't care. I don't actually have to draw it, I just need to get to it. So we can go ahead and send this, and this will go ahead and summon green out of the deck. And when green is summoned, we can search a Labrynth card. We will search Welcome Labrynth. Now we are going to overlay the 2 maids for the DDD, since they're both fiends, and then we're just going to Trident over it. So now we got a man that can suck 2 times, so that's 2 disruptions. Pretty big deal. And we have Welcome Labrynth. And like this, interesting enough, we can end our turn. And now you might be thinking, so what exactly is this? So right now we got 2 sucks, 2 disruptions, and then on our opponent's turn we can activate Welcome Labrynth. And when we do, we're actually going to summon the first of the Silver Castle ladies. And she will plop right here. And now we got 2 disruptions from this guy, but here is where the other effect comes in, and this is why this has value in the graveyard, and in addition to that, has value seeing copies over and over again, because unlike Welcome Labrynth, where it's just a constant one resource repeating itself, this one has a graveyard effect to banish itself. While you can banish this from your graveyard, target a fiend you control, return to the hand. However, if you control a level 8 or higher fiend, you can target one card your opponent controls instead. So, ignoring the Suckman, we have lovely Labrynth that, because it hits the board, we can bounce a monster, and when we bounce a monster, we can destroy another card from their hand or field. So, we actually have 4 disruptions with this setup. 2 sucks, 1 bounce, and 1 pop. That's pretty nice. It's actually very nice, and it's interesting because it's using a new card and a card that was underutilized by Konami's own design team. So that's like really interesting. Not even mentioning the fact that you still have like 2 to 3 cards in your hand to work with. What if you had the field spell so you get an additional pop? What if there's like just generic trap good stuff down here? There's plenty of options with this setup, and I think my favorite thing about this is this 2-card setup is 4 disruptions, regardless of if your opponent sided in Lightning Storm or RP's Feather Duster, because the bounce is in your graveyard, and the rest is just the monsters on field. So, that's a very, very, very solid solution to a trap issue. That's pretty cool. But now, I've went into this deck enough on the things it can do with it, because there's a lot of really cool things it can do with this card. But now let's see what not this deck can do with it. Now, for this next interaction, this is on the Trap Engine's splashability more than actual Labrynth. Now, what I've put together is absolutely the trap deck that everyone tries to splash blah 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 whatever into all the time. Every time someone wants to splash a Trap Engine or splash something into this engine, it's Eldritch. It always is. It's always going to be. But what's really interesting is there's actually quite a few really strong synergies. So let's go ahead and start. We're going to activate Cursed Land, pay 800, and for this example, we are going to search Golden Lord. Now, we're going to activate a piece of furniture to discard itself and the Golden Lord, and we are going to set the new Big Welcome, and I will explain this in a moment. Now we'll activate Golden Lord to add and summon itself, and then the Cursed Land will dump a Golden Land. Now, during the end phase, of course, we will go ahead and banish it, and it will allow us to set Sanguine. So, here is something interesting about the new Welcome Labrynth trap that I didn't mention, but it's important to remember. And that is, unlike normal Welcome, this does not have a Fiend restriction on it at all. So, on our opponent's turn, we will start off with the Big Welcome, and we will summon Lady of the Lab. However, we have to now bounce a card, but this is where this kind of gets obnoxious, because we're just going to bounce Lady of the Labrynth, and Lady of the Labrynth has an effect of if you've used a lab card this turn at all, or a normal trap, you can just summon it. So its actual downside is completely null by its best summon target. So take it with that what you will, because this card is generic in other trap decks, and because of that, this card is generic in other trap decks. So basically, you get a free trap that allows your trap deck to have another very strong win condition randomly for no reason. And what is this win condition? So I've shown off Lady of the Lab before. Basically, if you activate a normal trap, in response to it, you get to set another normal trap from deck. Let's just say Dogmatica, Punishment, Ice Dragon's Prison, whatever in this example. Because this is a very strong solution to a normal trap deck's problems, is that since you're not relying on a Floodgate specifically, you are instead playing a control deck. But the problem with trap decks is they've never actually been treated as control decks. So basically, they have traps that don't replace themselves in the same way that like Sky Strikers and other control decks do. So they just feel like several years behind every other mechanic. And this card adjusts that by saying anytime you activate one normal trap, you get a new different one. And you basically get to restock all your, I guess, trap supplies. And in addition to that, it's just a massive, massive big monster that can't be targeted or destroyed, which is pretty pog champ, if I do say so myself. And let's not forget, it's a level 8 Fiend, so on the following turn you can just bounce whatever. You can bounce, I don't know, your opponent's thing. It's a Mystic Mine out because the TCG office will literally do everything in their power to keep that card legal. So this is a really cool solution to that. And it's incredibly interesting how many layers of splashability this adds, because sure, Eldritch is one example, but I know for a fact, and have been trying this in Lair of Darkness, I've tried it in Burning Abyss, because the in-phase Scarm Search can search Chandel whatever in in-phase, which it's actually a quick effect, so it might as well just be searching that turn, because on in-phase you get to just search this, and your by far BA trap deck just gets to have free resources. So that's really interesting. But yeah, I find this card pretty insane. It made my welcome the big welcome, and I am welcoming that. But yep, that's about it. Thank you all for watching, and remember, Master Nerflax will take your soul.